This week on Machinery Pete TV, more amazing barn finds from the Ritchie Brothers auction in Saskatchewan. This John Deere 955 utility tractor is one of the many gems. Restored as an FFA project, this D21 is an award winner. And how many times will you see a 1988 4450 in this condition?
Your machinery is a serious investment and at the heart of every farming operation. Some call it a passion. We're Machinery Pete TV, and today we'll cover everything from auction roundups to the classics to the latest trends and technology. Machinery Pete, the most trusted name in farm equipment.
Machinery Pete thanks these premier sponsors for their support. Sullivan Auctioneers. Let our team of professionals show you how to make your auction a success. Visit sullivanauctioneers.com. Thanks for tuning into the show today, folks. Now let me let you in on a little secret. 30 years now I've been writing my Machinery Pete column for National Farm magazines, the last 8 for the Farm Journal. I've always had as a goal to leave you with something to talk about in the local coffee shop, at least before COVID-19 anyway. Now today on Machinery Pete TV, I guarantee you I'm going to leave you with something to talk about. We're going up to Saskatchewan to watch a 1988 John Deere 4450 two-wheel drive with only 256 actual hours sell. Now before that main event, we need to go back to the studio and catch up on the very latest farm equipment news.
Thanks, Pete. I'm Clinton Griffiths. It looks like several farmers are getting new tractors under the Christmas tree this year. The Association of Equipment Manufacturers monthly flash report shows all tractor sales were up 41% last month. That's compared to the same month last year. Now, so far for this year, more than 263,000 tractors have been sold. That represents a 16% increase year to date. Combine sales were up 33% last month, with sales for the year up 6%. Breaking it down a little further for you, this year, smaller two-wheel drive tractors, those under 40 horsepower, have seen sales surge 20% in 2020, while the larger four-wheel drive farm tractors are only up about 5%. The EPA says it now plans to release its notice yet this month when it comes to the 2021 and 2022 biofuel levels under the Renewable Fuel Standard. It will also release a final rule in June. You'll remember the EPA originally sent the proposed rule to the Office of Management and Budget back in May, but it did not release it. EPA officials have indicated they have revised the plan due to the COVID-19 impacts. Now, earlier this month, Growth Energy warned it would sue the EPA, giving the agency notice that it had 60 days to issue the 2021 RVO before risking a lawsuit in federal court. And the results are in, and Don Stahl of Charlotte, Michigan is the winner of the National Corn Grower Association National Corn Yield Contest. Stahl produced a whopping yield of 476.9 bushels per acre to win the conventional irrigated category. Now that was followed by George Andrew of Evansville, Wisconsin, and Ashton Peterson of Bertrand, Nebraska. The National Corn Yield Contest is now in its 56th year. That's it for news. Now let's check on some recent auction prices from around the country.
Hey folks, I'm here with Brendan Kramer, Territory Manager with the Ritchie Brothers Auctioneers. And Brendan, man, we've got quite a tractor here, this 1992 Deere 4055 two-wheel drive, just over 2,400 hours on it. Man, she's a beauty.
It is, Greg. It's one of the ones there, again, part of the estate. The late gentleman was the original owner on that tractor. It's original hours. Very nice little tractor, clean and straight all the way through. Pretty rare tractor to find in the 40 series. We've seen lots of 4250s and maybe 4255s or 4440s and in that vintage, but a 4055, a little tougher to find a smaller tractor like that. We don't have many results for the similar tractor out there, so a little bit of a wild card for us to know what it's going to bring.
Yeah, I was interested, Brendan. I've noticed maybe the last 4 or 5 years down here in the U.S., whenever we do run across a 4055 with low hours, and it's not that often, but it has always seemed to me like there's kind of an outsized interest in it.
Well, I think it's kind of a mid-sized or it's one of the smaller series, no doubt. But I think it's a good fit for the bigger acreages, small farms, the guys there that might have a few bales to put up and a little bit of hay to cut through the summertime. Tractor like this should give them a lot of good use. And I think part of that what drives the price on these, anybody that could be using a tractor like that, whether it's on the farm or the ranch, replacement cost of a newer tractor similar. And the newer tractor is probably a little bit more complicated on the electronic side of things, where a tractor like this, simple, easy to use, proven tractor, and also getting to be a little collectible, and seems to be within that series that John Deere was renowned for. Your 40 again to the 60 series, everybody would like to own one. They might have, their grandfather or their father may have had one, they want one similar.
And I see it just closed on the online bidding, Brendan, comes in at $70,000 Canadian, which when we convert into US dollars, $53,046. Wow, that's a solid sale price. Okay, Brendan, we have another just amazing tractor on this auction, a 1990 John Deere 955 utility. 4 hours on it. Are those the actual hours?
That's the actual hours. Again, and just like the snowmobile or the 4760 or the 4450, they were all parked in the same Quonset on the concrete floor. Just more or less unloaded off the truck and driven in there. Maybe a tour around the yard once or twice. And, when we first got to look at them, obviously they've been sitting a while, been covered in dust, get them washed up, and here's the end product right here. Okay,
I was curious about that, Brendan. Now, you reached out to me as you were in the early stages of this sale. And again, these tractors like this 955 have been sitting in storage there. So could you tell through the dust? I mean, even though what was your reaction when you saw 4 hours on this thing?
Well, it's similar to the snowmobile or the other couple of tractors there. And just hard to fathom how something like that's been bought and purchased and just stored away. But when you knew maybe a little bit more about the fellow that had owned the tractor originally, a gentleman who passed away, you could see he had a thing for tractors. I think in total there was nearly 40 tractors in the auction. And, he was a guy that liked buying stuff and putting it away, and something like this, he might have done a little cutting around the yard with it to put those 4 hours on it, but more of a novelty for him to have than anything else.
Well, again, fascinating to watch this thing sell online, Brendan, rbauction.com. And it just clicked in, final sale price, 18,500 Canadian. We do the US for us, our viewers down here, 14,019 bucks US. Again, super solid price, a lot of action on that tractor, but not unexpected with 4 hours on it. Here are a few more items that sold on today's sale.
Every good season starts with one great deal. Get yours today with Farm Hard Rewards, going on now at your local certified Firestone Ag tire dealer. Your next piece of equipment is on MachineryPete.com. Search equipment from dealerships across the country to find what you're looking for. Only on MachineryPete.com.
Well, folks, the market for good used four-wheel drive tractors with lower hours and a little bit of age on them just exploded higher in November and December of 2020. Now, let me give you an example of what I'm talking about. Here's a picture of a 1997 Case H 9370, very nice condition, 3,105 hours on it. Now, this sold on a farm auction in northeast South Dakota on December 8th. And it sold for $84,000. Now, the auction firm on this sale was our friends at the Steffes Group. Now, what's interesting here is that $84,000, that's the highest auction price in 13 years and 1 month since a sale November 16th of 2007 in northwest Minnesota by the same auction firm, the Steffes Group, where a 9370 sold for $86,000, similar hours. So again, highest price in 13 plus years. Now that same day, December 8th, over in Northwest Ohio, our good friends at Schrader Real Estate and Auction sold this beautiful tractor, again, same vintage, a 1998 John Deere 9400. Now this one had really low hours on it, 1,967 hours, and went for $104,000. Now that's the highest auction price on a 9400 four-wheel drive in 3.5 years, and also the third highest auction price on a John Deere 9400 in over 7.5 years. Now, 2 days after that, December 10th, on an online farm auction out in northeast Colorado by our good friends at Sullivan Auctioneers, this 2005 John Deere 9320 with 2,692 hours on it sold for $104,000. Similar story here, folks. Highest auction price on a John Deere 9320 in 5 years. But what's interesting here is just the week prior, on December 2nd, our good friends at BigIron.com on their weekly online auction sold this 2004 John Deere 9320, and it came out of Iowa, and had 4,670 hours on it and went for $100,500. So those two 9320s sold the first week or so of December, the two highest 9320s in 5 years. Welcome back to Tractor Tales, folks. This week we're off to northeastern Illinois and we're going to check out a classic Allis-Chalmers D21. This tractor made its way from Texas in the hands of an FFA member who restored it just a few years ago. It's one of the first Allis-Chalmers to have a turbo, which was a favorite for this collector.
My mom and dad owned this tractor, but they purchased it from a gentleman in northern Illinois that had the tractor about 6 years, I think. We've had it about 4. This tractor actually was restored by a FFA-er from Texas, and it was an AC Delco restoration competition and won. I actually saw this tractor at the Farm Progress show. It was in the Titan tire booth the year he won, and a gentleman from northern Illinois purchased the tractor from him, and then we ended up with it about 4 years ago. And obviously it was fully restored, what I would call a nut and bolt restoration. And no, we paraded a little bit in tractor shows, and the gentleman that restored it did a phenomenal job in my opinion, and people are usually pretty impressed with the quality of the restoration job. It's about 10, 11-year-old restoration, so it's got some age under it, and obviously it's been stored. It's got 3-point, no PTO, but it does have 3-point, which a lot of them came without 3-point PTO. I believe it's one of the first Allis-Chalmers that had a turbo, you know, a little bit younger than some of the tractor collectors, so I guess that's kind of what I grew up driving as a little kid was, you know, the 70s, 60s, late 60s, 70s era, which we were still farming with at the time. So kind of into that, but who wouldn't like the the D21. It's a pretty impressive beast as you sit in the seat and look at that wide hood, and just a pretty cool tractor.
Machinery Pete TV, brought to you by the CENEX Total Protection Plan, the best warranty in the agriculture industry that keeps you in the field and provides you peace of mind. Visit CENEX.com. Got equipment to sell privately but tired of scams and hassles? Visit MachineryPete.com and click Sell Mine. MachineryPete.com, the simple and secure way to buy and sell equipment online.
As we dug into the barn finds on this Ritchie Brothers auction up in Saskatchewan, one green machine really stood out.
The John Deere 4450 right here. I'll take you for a little tour, a little walk around, get you a little closer look at this beautiful John Deere 4450. 256 original hours, been kept inside its entire life. As you can see, the rubber looks very, very good all the way around. I'll just take you for a walk around all the way through so you can get up close and personal to take a closer inspection of this tractor. You can see here that something that everybody would be very proud to take home and be able to put in their collection or to put on their farm and put it to work. Real nice John Deere 4450 featuring singles on the back. Get up closer and take a look at the hydraulics. 3 hydraulic outlets on the rear end, as well as the 540 and 1000 PTO. You take a good close look in at the rubber. This tractor has been kept inside for nearly 30 years. We're very, very rare to find a tractor in this condition with that type of hours on it anymore.
Okay, so Brendan, it's time for our feature item on the auction today, this amazing auction in Spear, Saskatchewan. The 1988 John Deere 4450, 256 hours on this thing, just incredible.
And pretty sweet tractor. You don't find them like that every day.
To find an 88 model, particularly a Deere or a Magnum on the red side, but I mean, 256 hours, just, I mean, it's a one of a lifetime opportunity to buy something like that, isn't it?
It is, and it demanded a lot of interest from, again, all over the world. A lot of local interest, as well as, you know, from afar too. Yeah, guys looking at the tractor, whether they'd keep it as a collector's tractor or whether they'd take and put a loader on it because maybe they've got one similar that they've had a loader on and used it in their farming operation, might have 12, 15,000 hours on it and say it's so simple, never touched it, and it's been such a good tractor, they want another one. And to find one with under 1,000 hours on it, pretty tough to do.
Now, Brendan, been watching the online bidding the last week on this 4450, right into sale day here, watching the numbers go up, up, and up.
Mm-hmm.
Now, before it sells here, I mean, shoot me straight. Did you have a guess what you thought? Or did you have a pool going at Ritchie Brothers there on what this 4450 might wind up going for?
In my own gut, I was thinking somewhere in that 80 to 100 range. You know, might stretch over 100. I think a lot of it depended on where the 4760 actually sold for in comparison. And I think there was some guys that were looking at both tractors, but really wanted to take one of them, which in fact, I believe the buyer of this 4450 had his eyes set on both, but would be taking one home regardless.
Yeah, just looking at the sale price clocking in here, 125,000 Canadian. Brandon, we do the math on the US dollars, 94,725 bucks. I'm sure you know this, you look at our numbers. I mean, that's a record highest auction price on a 4450 by nearly 20,000 bucks. That's amazing. Well, folks, over my 31 plus years covering auctions, I've documented sale prices on over 1,000 John Deere 4450s sold throughout the US and Canada, but never, ever, ever run across anything like the one we saw sell today on the auction in Saskatchewan. 256 hours on an 88 model goes for 94,725 bucks, over $17,000 over the previous record high auction price. Simply amazing. Now, the thing I love most about covering auctions is that tomorrow is a new day and there's always interesting things up for sale. So tune in next week to Machinery Pete TV, folks. I'll bring you up to date. Machinery Pete thanks these premier sponsors for their support. Sullivan Auctioneers. Let our team of professionals show you how to make your auction a success. Visit sullivanauctioneers.com.
Your next piece of equipment is on MachineryPete.com. Search equipment from dealerships across the country to find what you're looking for. Only on MachineryPete.com.